I would just like to greet my friends here in the United States. I just arrived from the Philippines. I actually had made a Filipino film just like this in an area in the Philippines. But the sound was so bad and I don't have another opportunity to do that. So I'm now in Cambridge, Minnesota, and after 7 years, it's really exciting to be back. I first of all want to apologize because I only have about 4 months, a little bit more than 2 months in Minnesota, and that is the policy of the Assemblies of God, which I understand because I myself am praying for our younger missionaries to have a better opportunity to get to the field. And but I do want to get to as many places as I can to just thank you for your support, for your prayers. I am just so grateful for all that you have done to keep me on the field for these 42 years. And I'm still very healthy, don't take any maintenance medicine. I can still climb back into the mountains, and as long as I'm healthy. And now I have an additional gift from the Lord to be able to speak, to communicate in 4 languages. And even in some of the other languages, God is helping me to be able to speak in tongues. But language is very important, especially back in areas where English is limited, and so I enjoy. But I want to just share one experience with you just to illustrate what I do in this country. I do go back into lowland areas and cities and towns, but one of my favorite places is way back in the interior. And can you believe it, there are still places in the world where there is no other church. And we're trying to target places like this because it's very important that these people have an opportunity to receive Christ, an opportunity to find eternal life through Christ. And one place in particular, I was on the island of Palawan, and back in Batarasa with Boy Potestan, and God had led him also back up in the interior area with the Palaweño tribe. And I came to that area shortly after a very large fire that spread across South Palawan, more than 100,000 acres of land, a very dry area. And it was amazing that the fire stopped because they don't have equipment to stop the fire. But we went up into that area. I'll never forget seeing the charred remains, no houses, many people had died. And this was the story that was reported back to me, and I saw for myself the evidence of what I'm telling you now. In a little village of about 20 houses, there was a very unusual experience. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the people heard a crackling sound. They came running out of the houses, saw this huge wall of fire coming toward them. The Christians immediately felt that the safest place has to be in the house of God. And so they went to the church to pray. The neighbors who were not yet believers felt this was a very poor decision. And so they ran to try to escape from the fire. And so that as the Christians were praying, it is true in some areas because of strong cross winds, that the wind is strong enough to split the fire. Though this is very seldom, the fire actually did split in that area. But it just so happened that it split only about 300 yards above the church. One part of the fire went as close as 70 yards from the one side. The other went about more than 200 yards on the other side. It was still very hot for the people inside, but they were absolutely amazed and so thankful that God spared their life. This was a young church, had been established only, I believe, 3 years before. Can you believe it? That God would protect these people? I do not believe that any outsider had ever been to that area. But God knows his people wherever they are on this earth. And so I don't want to go any further, but maybe you can use this short clip. God is building his church worldwide. We are part of a worldwide Assemblies of God team that is reaching the world for Christ. I am so thankful for our other Assemblies of God missionaries in the Philippines, missionaries that you support from Minnesota, and other missionaries that are being sent to so many countries, even closed door countries. God is opening the door, and I have great faith that the final harvest will be the greatest ever. Habakkuk says this in chapter 2 verse 14, the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. That reference refers to the millennium, but I believe it does have a double reference, and that before Christ comes again, he is going to send his people to the ends of the earth to gather the final harvest. And you have a very important part of that task. God bless all of you. And I'm praying very earnestly for you that God would work through you to accomplish his purpose. The United States is now the largest mission field in the world. And so you have a great opportunity to reach your area for Christ. It is not easy, but let's remain positive that Jesus Christ has had 2,000 years experience at presenting his message. Even very difficult areas, the gospel is penetrating effectively now. So the best part of your witness for Christ is still ahead. Let's believe that God is going to gather a great harvest before he comes. God bless you.